Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to this holiday edition of The Marketplace. I'm Charles Aite. Now, let's start off with this particular pressing issue. It's got to do with the fisheries industry. We do know that the fisheries industry recorded zero growth in 2019, despite being hit by various illegal practices as illegal fishing, light fishing, and unregulated practices in this nature. Because of this main issue, we at Joy Business, together with the Center for Coastal Management, will be hosting a town hall meetings where we engage all political parties on the way forward for Ghana's ailing fisheries industry. To help us understand what exactly we should be expecting is Professor Dennis Wolanyo Aheto, part of the organizers of this particular town hall meeting. If you could hear me, Professor, how timely is this town hall meeting in alleviating the curse confronted the fisheries industry? Hello, Prof.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the program. Ahead of the town hall meeting tomorrow, we'd want to find out what listeners and viewers should be expecting.
Well, good afternoon to your listeners. Well, obviously, as we all do know, the fisheries and coastal sector of our country are very significant components of our system, of our country. And we're trying to provide this platform for the political parties to tell us or pitch their policy positions in respect of what they have in their manifestos for the sector. We do have a vibrant fishing industry that over the last 2 decades has been declining in output, particularly for the small pelagic fish, which largely is putting fishers at risk of their livelihoods. And it's important that we gain high political commitment in respect of addressing this issue. There are also broader challenges in terms of the pollution issues, poor sanitation challenges we have on our coastline, dwindling coastline in terms of the climate change impact, where we are fast seeing eroding beaches and shoreline, and other widespread challenges which we want to bring to fore. We also want to use the platform to educate Ghanaians in terms of the challenges that we are facing in these sectors.
Great, and we shall be looking forward to that town hall meeting at 7:30 p.m. That's going to be after the Joy News Prime.
I can't hear you so well.
We're so grateful, Professor, that you're able to join us for this engagement ahead of the town hall meeting. He is the director for the Center for Coastal Management. You may want to join us on the town hall meeting tomorrow in the evening on all our platforms, on the Joy News channel, on Joy FM and My Joy Online. You're still watching The Marketplace with me, Charles Aite. Let's go for a short break. We'll be right back. And welcome once again to The Marketplace. Now, Chief Executive of the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, also the President of the Institute of Human Resource Managers Practitioners, Dr. Edward Kwarpong, says any increment in the minimum wage will spell doom for Ghana's economic recovery. There are concerns that the current minimum wage of 11 cedis is outrageously low. But in an interactive piece between him and I, he revealed that any upward review will be subject to Ghana's economic recovery from the COVID-19. Here is the full interview he granted us. The world of work will never be the same again thanks to COVID-19. We have seen several millions of jobs being lost world over. In Ghana, for example, we've seen 24 million households affected by COVID-19 in one way or the other when it comes to the loss of jobs, when it comes to, layoffs and even suspension in that regard. Amidst all these concerns, we have seen various concerns being raised about the quality of human resource and the need for some intervention, not just from government side, but also from the private side as well. In all of this, the main figure that manages issues well in terms of their expertise and their knowledge base is the human resource management practitioners. Thankfully, we're joined by the president of the Institute of Human Resource Management Practitioners, Dr. Edward Kwarpong, who also is the head of the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. He's here to help us understand where they stand amidst the labor environment of COVID-19 and the future, especially when they have attained a charter status. Doctor, we're so grateful that you joined us. First of all, we keep hearing of you, we watch you on television, we hear your submissions, but people don't know the personality behind the name. So if you could help us understand who Dr. Kwarpong is.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Sure.
Dr. Kwarpong is an HR practitioner with about 36 years of experience.
Oh, great.
In various organizations within Ghana and without Ghana. I started my career with Environmental Protection Council, now Environmental Protection Agency.
Sure.
After a short period, I moved to the Volta River Authority, where I spent about 12 and a half years in HR. And that is really where I started my HR career.
Okay.
And then I then moved on to Ashanti Goldfields Corporation for about 4 years. Unfortunately for me, when I joined Ashanti, the price of gold was dropping on the world market, as a result of which we conducted a redundancy exercise. And as I took a package and left Ashanti for Ghana Commercial Bank.
Okay.
I spent 12 and a half years in Ghana Commercial Bank, and then again left to go into consultancy, HR consultancy. In the process, I took up several consultancy assignments in Ghana. For instance, the Kofi Annan Center, the job evaluation system, I did it for them. Then I worked with the UNDP in Sierra Leone in the office of the head of civil service for about 6.5 months. Then I went to Malawi, the first merchant bank of Malawi, to again set up a job evaluation and salary administration system for them. In the year 2017, towards the tail end, I was appointed as the Chief Executive of Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, and so that is Edward Kwarpong. Essentially, I live and breathe HR, nothing more.
You are Ghana's Chief HR practitioner. We understand that. But you know, in just a few weeks or even months, we've seen the President has sent to Parliament Act 1020, which gives you now the wherewithal to act under a charter.
Absolutely.
What does this mean for the HR industry in general?
Thank you very much. But it's such a huge milestone in the life of the institute. And the HR practice in Ghana said that I'll have to extend a special word of appreciation to the President of the Republic, His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo. I also want to do same to Dr. Matthew Poku Prempe, the Honorable Minister for Education, who saw our bill through various stages up to the point where it was assented to, well, it was passed by Parliament first and then assented to by the President.
Salaries and wages in Ghana today.
The word fair is a difficult one to define.
I'm trying to.
But as far as
fair wages.
Fair wages, you are underscoring the fair. I appreciate that. You know, in salary administration, or compensation management, we are always talking about fairness. Fairness from the point of view of the value of the job and the corresponding remuneration. And so we use job evaluation as a tool or an instrument to weigh all jobs. We put all the jobs on a common weighing scale. And then when we have determined the weight, as it were, then we apply the corresponding salary. So fairness in terms of all jobs in the public service having been subjected to job evaluation. So in that respect, we have been fair. And we have classified the public service into about 9 service classifications. So in that respect, we are fair. But I know where we are coming from. The fairness in terms of levels of salary is generally it's been agreed that levels are low in this country, and we all worry about that. But then how do we increase salary levels? as I speak, the latest figures that I know indicate that 65% of domestic revenue goes into compensation of public servants. And public servants are around the figure of 600, and they are taking 65%. So nothing for goods and services, or sorry, not nothing, but the remainder for goods and services and capex, that is capital expenditure. So it makes it a tricky one. If you continue to increase salary levels, we will not have anything at all for other developmental issues in this country. And so we are careful, we advise government. Our role is to advise government, but we are careful not to push the figures or suggest figures that are very high. Okay. For instance, when we are determining the national daily minimum wage, the tripartite arrangement holds, and therefore employers are there, the government, who is the biggest employer, is also there, and organized labor is also there. But at times when we are trying to, raise the bar, then employers association will say that let us be careful. Otherwise, you crowd out some companies, because beyond a certain level they will not be able to survive. They will go under. And we are all interested in creating jobs. So if you make a move that will cause companies to collapse or go under, then people are going to lose jobs. And when people don't have jobs, then the devil will find
but there seems to be some imbalance when it comes to this argument, because each and every year economists will say we are not matching the salaries to the outputs of most of these workers. We keep thinking about salary increments, but we do not really have a hold on the productivity of most workers, especially within the public sector.
I was coming to productivity. We don't have a nationwide productivity measurement system. We try to do that through performance management, performance appraisal, yes. But then we don't link the appraisal results to reward, So everybody is like a socialist system. Everybody gets the normal increment. So as we speak, we have initiated the process of piloting performance management in about 50 institutions. And at the end of the day, we'll pick the results, analyze the results, and reward based on your performance. So the high flyers will be recognized. And let me be quick to say this. The model that we are looking at the end of the year, if government decides to set aside so much, say 10% of GDP or whatever, for, reward in terms of annual increment and bonus and things like that, 5% of that amount will go to everybody. The remaining 5% will be distributed based on your performance. So an employee in the same company may get the remaining 5%, the whole of it. Another person will get 3% of that, another person will get 1%, and another person will get nothing at all. That way, we would create the awareness for people to be productive. Currently, there is no motivation for anybody to be extremely productive, bend over backwards to work to meet the targets of the institution, because we are paid the same, we are rewarded the same. So there's no motivation for the hardworking ones to continue to, kill themselves for the company. So if you introduce such a system, which works in the private sector, eventually it will also have some impacts on the public sector, and we'll take it from there.
Let's delve into the minimum wage, which currently stands a little above 11 Ghana cedis. Of course, people have argued that this is just so poor, despite the fact that we're a little bit higher when it comes to the UN ranking. But what's your commission doing to improve Ghana's minimum wage? Are you looking at an upward review?
I thought I intimated
COVID-19 effects on the economy.
And the fact that the revenues are not coming, and already we are spending 65% of that on compensation. So yes, we will work together with our social partners to revise the figures upwards, subject to productivity. But let me also be quick to point out that the minimum wage is the wage below which no employer should pay. It's illegal. But when you say minimum wage and you convert the 12 cedis into, say, 340, 60 cedis, that's not the end of the matter. Remuneration comprises the basic salary and allowances. And the allowances are at times driven by activities that the individual undertakes. And you realize that when it comes to trek, when it comes to going out of your office or your normal location to other, we pay allowances, out of station allowance, overnight allowance, trekking allowance, and so at the end of the day, what you see may not reflect the actual compensation that an individual takes home. So there are safety valves around.
Yeah. COVID-19 has seen us have so many stories of bad treatment of workers in terms of layoffs, in terms of slashes in salaries and whatnot. How endemic has this situation been when it comes to the matters on your table?
Well, we know that some companies have closed down. They have declared redundancies. They have reduced salaries. But in the public service, government has been so gracious that we still pay.
Exactly.
Nobody has suffered any salary cut as far as we are concerned. Of course, line managers will try to control cost in terms of the activity-driven costs. But yes, we are aware of this, but we are not. We are guided by a principle, the golden principle, that we shouldn't make workers worse off. So we will not make them worse off. We will try to stay afloat and pay what we are supposed to pay. Even though government is suffering, bleeding from that, I think governments have a duty to provide jobs and to keep those who have jobs in their jobs. So yes, it is endemic. It is having a toll on government, but we will not, I think, lowball whatever we are paying now. Going up might be difficult though, and I think through the social partnership, we should be able to explain ourselves to our stakeholders.
But the private sector is struggling.
It is indeed.
When it comes to HR management as well and employment issues there, most workers within the private sector say they don't feel they have the right to voice their concerns out. Most of the companies do not give them the capacity to have unions within themselves. I mean, how much of a concern is this for you, especially when you are the head of the Fair Wages Salaries Commission and also the entire chairman of the entire IRH, the Institute of Human Resource, How much of a concern is it to you, especially from the private sector's point of view?
Yes, HR practices must be standardized and harmonized, and so the rules must apply regardless. However, we have institutions where HR practitioners are not drawing attention of management to some of these infractions.
So they are infractions.
I'm aware. I mean, asking people to stay at home without pay, what is it? Is it the redundancy? Is it the layoff? Is it termination? And whatever it is, there is a procedure to follow to sever the relationship between the employer and the employee. They are not doing that, and the HR practitioners are quiet. That's a big source of concern to me and to the institute. Because how can you just ask a worker to go home? Of course, at law, we have what we call the force majeure, the acts of God that will prevent parties to fulfill the terms of the contract. And under such circumstances, perhaps somebody may get away with it. But in Ghana, if you want to terminate, regardless, let us sit down and agree on the basis of the pattern of the relationship. But we don't just, and HR practitioners are condoning, and that is my worry. Okay, they should draw. So managements are not aware, especially the small company, the micro businesses. The management may not be aware because it might have been a one-man business that has transformed into SME. And so he may not be aware. And so it's the responsibility of the HR practitioner to draw attention to the need to follow. And our Labor Act, the Act 651, is so elaborate in provisions on termination or the severance of the relationship. So yes, so we are going to play a strong advocacy role in educating our own members and educating senior management teams when it comes to such matters, even within these COVID times.
Do you feel that most of these companies are taking advantage of COVID-19 to do what they're doing currently?
Absolutely. But then I also not blame them too much. They are also struggling very hard to bear the wage bill. And so out of frustration, at times they commit some of these infractions. So we should bear with them, but still draw their attention. When it comes to redundancies, if there is no provision in the collective agreement for the two to apply a formula that for every year worth maybe so many months' salary, the law behoves on us to sit, the two parties to sit and negotiate a package. And in that negotiation, we need to be very transparent with each other and tell them that this is so much that we can give, and it's based on our financials. So, guys, we are in a very difficult situation. And so why don't you agree with me to part a company with a little package?
All right. So
these are things that
great. Great. So, Doc, let's end on this note. You have now attained the charter status. Any word for HR practitioners across the country?
Well, what I'll say is that we should stick together as a body and work towards the fulfillment of the objects of the institute, the Chartered Institute of Human Resource Management, in terms of promoting training and development, and in terms of enforcing professionalism and professional standards at the workplace. Now, in so many institutions and companies, we realize that the heads of HR functions are not professional HR people. If you are not doing too well in some function, they pick you and drop you into HR. We should guard against that. We should protest. We should bring this to the attention of the institute, that we need professionals, licensed professionals, to do or practice HR in these institutions.
Dr. Kwarpong, we're so grateful that you joined us, and that's how we end this edition of The Marketplace. For me and the rest of the team, many thanks for watching.